We are live, and I am excited to watch this race. Key, what is up, my man? This is our first time meeting formally. Hope you're doing well.
It
Taking care of
is.
yourself.
I am. I hope the same about you.
Thank you, thank you. Things are alright, but I am more excited to watch this race.
It will be a fun one. Equations sweeping through his group, demanding, commanding, not demanding. And Ninten, one of the greatest.
KH2 players, just in general, and as of right now, as far as relevant to what's going on, rando players as well in the scene. Equations, though, as you just said, was definitely not only just to myself, but to I know a lot of people. And when I say this, I don't mean it with a negative connotation, but the sweeping that Equations has been doing, Equations hasn't lost. This whole, it's obviously they haven't lost their in top 16 winners, but I mean in group stages, they 3-0'd. Here we are now in top 8, just you know, it's the snowball effect. It's only going to get bigger. It's going to keep on going.
Momentum's a big thing in these tournaments.
Momentum is a big thing for sure, and I think that's something that's going to help out Equations a lot. Ninten, like you said, already dabbled on it. Ninten is Ninten, multi-talented in many Kingdom Hearts games. But as far as today is concerned, we're talking Kingdom Hearts 2. We're talking Randomizer, and not something that Ninten is a stranger to either. So I think that goes without saying. Both players really, really great. It seems like we are starting. Equations.
May I briefly direct your attention to that jacked STT, though?
Yes. Quite.
You could just hear the gasp in his voice when he just looks at the STT like, oh.
I have a very, very toxic relationship with that world, man. Really
No matter your relationship with that world, I feel like definitely this is a scene where you're going to want to be there as swiftly as possible.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate thing that that's going to be the case, but yeah, definitely. So it's not just on my end. Equations is a little bit, for whatever reason, I think Ninten has a little bit of stream delay going on, but that's all right.
Yeah, he's like 5 seconds behind for me.
I got a little bit more than that, but it's okay. So, very standard start, as you were saying. The very, very blatant elephant in the room, STT for sure, this seed. The highest prioritized world in this entire seed as far as numbers go, which is quite ugly. And I think is something we haven't seen this tournament, and something I definitely haven't had to deal with in a long time. So it's going to be interesting to see how they go about it. The obvious thought on your mind when you think STT is limit form. Will that be a thing? Don't know. Maybe it's in the STT. Very possible. Always a meme.
It's also the fact that there's a lot of other worlds with very low point values in comparison. For example, there's a Halloween Town and a Land of Dragons that have 7 and 9 points. And if you look at our hit system, proofs can only be worth 5 points. So we know that there is no chance.
No, we have 3 guaranteed 5s right now, actually.
1, 2, 3. And we have 3 guaranteed 5s in other worlds. An 8 means that there is a 5 and a 3. So therefore, we know that that world has to have a 5. So knowing that there are 3 guaranteed 5s and 2 worlds that are guaranteed not to have a 5, it looks like this seed already has very clear directions on where the players would want to end up being, I think, after they do their opening shotgun.
I think these settings are really funny. Another 5 hopping up here now, Torn Page and Prideline, sorry. I don't know why I drew a blank on the world's name. No, but I was going to say was, I think it's really funny that in these settings, it's hard to explain what I'm thinking, but it's funny that sometimes the bigger numbers are less attractive than the lower numbers, because the lower numbers, you're able to deduct and pinpoint a lot earlier on, especially later in the seeds.
One thing that Equations as a player excelled at in his group stages was that he was, and even in his top 16 match, he was one of the best players in this entire league at mathematically determining where he's supposed to go, knowing the hit values and what his worlds ended up being. So it'll be interesting to see if he can put that skill to good use this seed.
Yeah. I asked, so I did ask both players like how they feel about everything, and then Ninten was saying obviously like the just Equations is a good player. Anything can happen. Ninten does truly believe that there's a chance that things could not go his way tonight. And I think it kind of goes without saying, Equations kind of said the same thing. Equations was saying he doesn't think that he could beat Ninten off of just pure, just clear speed alone. But he's also not someone that doesn't want to make like off the wall decisions, doesn't want to put themselves in kind of a far outlandish situation that make him uncomfortable. So he said, I'm just gonna stay within his comfort zone and hope to keep it close enough, and hopefully he gets lucky on a play or two and they end up in his favor and he can walk away with it.
So reports for in Prylights hints a Reflective Beast Castle, and Reflect is one of those spells you want as soon as possible. So that might influence their shotgun a little bit, or even their late game decision making, because having a Reflect and not having a Reflect can make a difference of about 4 or 5 minutes if you're like, even for the best players of this game. Glide and Agrabah for Equations.
That's always pretty to see early on, right?
Yeah, it's like every early glide you get, or any movement you get in general, can speed up.
Sora a little confused there on Ninten's end. Not Ninten's fault, completely Sora's. Once more, nice. Another 5 down.
It's a lot of 5s already being taken out of the pool, and we still have 2 guaranteed 5s.
Yeah.
Magnet Splash was found by, I believe it was Equations, on Agrabah as well. Good spell for a lot of worlds like OC, which is a guaranteed 5. Leveling with a Magnet Burst and SP is always a good play. Stitch, that's another 5 down.
Okay, so another, that's really good to point out, actually. Stitch, holy shoot. Thomas River, early on here from Ninten. It's
one of those, it's a safe play, right? Like, you'd expect your opponent to go to Timeless, and skipping it's more of the risky play than not doing it, I think.
I think that Thomas River has the biggest, like, just meta, like, mind game behind it early compared to every other world in the entire game.
The decision of, do you go to Timeless and get those really easy checks that can't be sped up, or do you just sack Timeless and get that free drive leveling spot that you can use later on to outspeed your opponent when it comes to leveling your Valor and Wisdom late game?
Honestly, I think Thomas River has a lot of different like approaches and mindsets towards it, and it's all based on a Valor form there in Agrabah as well. It's all based on what hit system you're running. Honestly, like in J Smart,
priorities, right?
Like in J Smart, I think it's kind of whatever. In what's the other one? Sean's.
Shenanigans?
Yeah, if that world is has stuff in it, I always feel like I have to go. And this one, I'm kind of tossed up. I don't know. I feel like Thomas River early it's always up in the air. But yeah, like you said, do you want to get that over your opponent and risk it or not? Because it could be you just never have to go back. Also, sorry for my dog. I don't know. Dogs are dogs.
It's all right. Understandable. I was thinking that like the priorities of players also plays a huge part, right? Like some players definitely want to like level their drives as efficiently as possible, so they'll never go out of their way to like leave a place to level it. And other players are just like, I'll sack my drives to like level it to like 6 or 7 in one clear swoop.
I have to like mute for a second so he shuts up.
It's all good. Thunder and Scan in Timeless River for Ninten, both are incredibly good things. Well, Scan is just very nice to have in general, and Thunder is having a combat magic early on that isn't Reflector or Magnet is good for just some long distance fighting. Nothing in LOD. Even if it's the 9 and you're guaranteed not to have a proof in there, it's good to shotgun some of these early worlds just for like nice useful tools. There's lots of spells that Equations might look for early on in LOD. Ninten getting through Timeless Pete without any issues thanks to that Thunder he just picked up. Equations now shotgun OC.
Okay. SP is a 5. Another one.
So many guaranteed 5s, and so many 5s already out of the pool.
Makes for a very scary mid game.
Definitely.
At like the 40-minute mark makes things a lot scarier. Every decision holding that much more weight behind it.
Something to also consider is that when you know there's a guaranteed 5, you might have to consider the length of the world instead of just the efficiency of that world, right? Something like SP may not have a lot of checks, but it's a lot faster to get to the end of SP than, say, STT, even though if STT is worth so many more points. So, something you have to think about with all these 5s popping up in so many disparate worlds. Efficiency versus time spent. Nothing too good for equations in Port Royal. Ninten also shotgunning Melody. Equations using his boosts. Keyblade has nothing great on it. It's got Slide Dash. I believe that was in OC. Not having a gap closer. A gap closer is not exactly the most game-changing ability, but not having a gap closer feels incredibly bad for some fights, so it's good that he finds that Slide Dash early on before it makes a difference.
Alrighty, so
Ninten shotgunning Halloween Town, though. No, I was going to say, Ninten shotgunning the no-proof Halloween Town's interesting.
Yeah, he had touched on it a little bit. How deep, since he is here, how deep he actually wants to go. Obviously, I would imagine not past Santa's workshop, but you could even leave before then. You definitely have the opportunity to. Will he? I'm not sure. Exactly what magic he's looking for, I don't
know. Something to note is that Jack Skellington, right, from Halloween Town, has got 2 ethers on him. And if you don't have a money pouch, ethers are a very valuable commodity that can make or break a fight in late game. So
they're like water and Mad Max. Oh, he's staying.
Yeah, like for a good player like Ninten who can optimize every ether he gets to incredible efficiency, those 2 ethers might. He's going to Candy Cane Lane. That's interesting.
Yeah. This place actually called Candy Cane Lane.
I
don't know what places they're called. That's why I'm asking, because I'm actually, my knowledge on this game as far as like actual like names goes. If this is actually called Candy Cane Lane, which would make sense, there's candy canes everywhere. I'm now noticing. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, it was called Candy Cane Lane somewhere, and I've just picked it up, and nobody's corrected me or like questioned me like in general. Equations has gotten Light and Dark from, I believe, Space Parent once.
I think it was a little earlier than that, but I could be wrong. It might have been Space
It was recently. He didn't get it in Private, I know that much, because Ninten would have forced it, right? No, Ninten doesn't have Valor. Alright, no.
Both players, though, finding very useful things. Are we... Oh, Ninten's Space Parent Knights.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
100 acre being a 20. Pretty big number, honestly.
Means that torn pages... Ooh, 13 is not as big, though.
I mean, 13 is useful. A 13 could be a 5.53, but with all the 5s out there right now, I doubt it. So it's most likely going to be a 7 and 2 reports, I think. Oh no!
Oh,
wow!
2 5s at 100 acre.
I retract my just said statement. I did not think it would be 2 5s, but here we are.
So huge, actually. Hang on. Let me do a bit of counting real quick. We know there are 1, 2, 3, 4 guaranteed 5s in the pool currently just floating around right now, and they've already found 1, 2, 3 of them. So that's, I think, about half the guaranteed 5s possible, or half the 5s possible, just their locations are known already.
And we are 10 minutes into this run.
Yeah, incredibly early. And for someone like Equations, who is really good at routing this sort of mathematical hint system on the fly, this definitely could be something he could pull into his favor.
So if you're Equations now, you just found once more. Ninten now is about to find out the information I was just going to say. So both players are going to be in the same boat. They are both now going to know how many 5s they have and how many are accounted for. And at this point, that's a little... It could be just a little bit at least for me personally, if I was in in their shoes, a little bit scary because there's so many fives now that are out there, and then you have such all these other worlds with such pretty numbers that you are naturally attracted to, but with so many fives out there, how hard do you chase, and what do you chase early on?
I'd like to correct myself real quick. Sorry, that equations finding once more means they have 8 fives, not 7.
Okay. I just feel like a lot of early decisions are going to be the most important ones right now.
You can choose to like go chase these guaranteed fives for potentially really bad payoff, right? Like, for example, that OC5 could be on Data Zexion. And if it's on Data Zexion, you're going to spend at least 10-15 minutes getting that one check by itself. Definitely even more if you struggle with Data Zexion, which I have full faith in our players to be able to do Data Zexion, but the point stands that that fight is long, and it takes a long time to get to. Whereas something like STT, right? Maybe it'll take the same amount of time, and maybe you won't have a 5, but you'll get a nice bunch of like checks out of it, right? Like you get some magic, ports, forms, second chance, which is a 5, I guess. But my point stands in that you could either just go for your guaranteed 5s, or you could just go for the really big shotgun. And I think that decision could really change how this entire run looks for both players.
There's also some of these 5s are a lot more accessible than others. Like the 5 in levels, without the right setup and without the right progression in certain worlds, like getting that is just going to be horrid. So I don't think the 5 on levels will be found anytime soon if it's past like level 30 or something.
But the flip side is that 5 could be incredibly early and change the entire course of the run. We just don't know yet, though. That's the unfortunate thing. There's still like 10-15 levels that they'll probably naturally get just doing the seed. It's incredibly interesting stuff. Equations getting that thunder from Timeless Shipper.
If we're talking just in general, the loadout isn't that bad as far as just playing the game goes. It's not the best, it's not the prettiest, but you can make do with what you got and what you found so far. Very okay magic. Got a thunder and a fire, so offensively you'll be all right. No real defense options, but you got the gap closers. I believe both players, if not, Ninten has a finishing plus. Like the tools so far aren't the worst. Once more as well. That's also a plus early on.
Definitely.
Okay movement.
Ninten just getting that glide that Equations had, so they're both caught up on each other's movement. I believe at this point, after Equations finishes TR, he has to go somewhere we haven't seen yet, because now he and Ninten have completely overlapped, I believe. So it'll be interesting to see where he chooses to go. He might go to Halloween Town, but I'm a little skeptical if he does that.
Yeah, I think the play in general, when we saw Ninten do it, was a little not outlandish, but one that made us very, very curious. I think that's the best words that you can use.
Yeah.
But Ninten, is a player that I have seen just nail, pinpoint, head on a seed, every right decision, like the best routing possible. And then I've also, like, for example, it wasn't his last race. Maybe it might have been in top 32 one of his races. Anyway, I think I went back to watch one of his races, and I was like, man, I wonder what Ninten did throughout this. Like, what can I learn from this? And sorry, excuse me.
Bless you.
Oh, thank you. And I was like, man, I gotta watch Ninten. I want to see what he did. I want to see his decision making on this. And the routing he did that seed was the most crazy, ridiculous. I couldn't make any sense of it myself routing, but it worked. So I don't know. Sometimes the dude is very straightforward to the books. Other times he's off the walls with it, but there's to the madness. It makes sense.
Method to the madness sometimes, huh? So Equations shotgunning World That Never Was. The most interesting thing there was an HP increase. Hollow Bastion is our second highest point world, I believe, from the outset. But the problem with Hollow Bastion is that it is also, I believe, the longest world, except for maybe Twilight Town, in terms of just sheer length of stuff you have to go through to get all the checks. If you include core in it, at least, for sure, it is the longest. So it may have the second most points, but those points could be spread out very far across it. And it also has two of some of the harder super bosses in League settings, Sephiroth and Datademics. So
yeah, Hollow Bastion is Coin Flip City. Not only that, it's also home to Chicken Little.
Ooh, another 5 too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, that's 4 we know about. There's 5 fives that we don't know about, but we know the location or the exact. We either know the exact location or the world it is in for the other 9, which is staggering, honestly. That kind of information. That Magna Burst and Thunder that Equations picked up from the shotgun, coming in handy for Bailey.
Definitely, yeah.
You either want some sort of combat magic like Thunder or Blizzard to snipe any long-range dusks that are giving you problems, and then you want something like either a Magnet Burst, or even a Reflect or Explosion. Just some AoE damage to quickly get rid of the samurais in the second part of the fight.
Okay, so Ninten's not staying.
Using his light and darkness to somewhat efficiently get it. I feel like gliding there and then light and darknessing at the end would have been faster, but I don't know the exact movement speed of anti-form.
Well, actually, I don't. He might stay here. Who knows? He's just forcing final. I don't know if he'll stay.
No, he's leaving. With the 15 world that never was, the odds of it having enough proofs that it's worth just bum rushing Roxas is a bit outlandish in my eyes currently.
Also, I have a feeling that Nintendo's one of those players that is okay with putting off the world that never was until they have the stats to fight Roxas, because Nintendo's just one of those, guys that has the knowledge to do that fight with probably the oh man,
no,
juicy now.
In a scene where STT is your most stacked build, that is a both amazing and a terrible find.
Hold on, I'm currently being a cover girl right now on Ninten stream. I can't see what's going on.
I also got an ad, which was interesting timing, I've got to say. Equations going through corridors, finding nothing interesting. Aerial dodge. Good movement.
Ease Castle. Chasing the 5 here. I think Ninten thinks that Ninten is proof in Bee's Castle. Okay.
Oh. That's not one of the fires we knew about. But now it is.
Oh man, I find that so funny. So Ninten literally said, I think STT is bait. He finds the proof, he makes a face, and then he says, there could easily be 2 proofs in STT. Like, oh my god. You go from saying that it's bait to saying there might be 2 proofs there.
Now there's a reasonably low amount of 5s that almost every world that has a lot of points right now, there's at least 2-3 that are going to end up being bait, because there's only 4 or 5s we do not know about currently, with Ninten finding that proof. Asian's hitting up TT. Classic play.
The deep plunge into the great abyss. And not for that much either, the point value. There's definitely other things right now that are higher, maybe not the most accessible and not the most efficient. So this is something, but you have to think about it. Twilight Town 1, also you do need a couple things to be efficient, but right now Equations does have those things, mainly the big one being the small chicken, I'd say, and a fire that speeds up tower a lot. But nonetheless, Twilight Town early is, I feel like in the most, past recent couple months, Twilight Town has just become a lot bigger of a nightmare for players, at least for me, for sure. I hate this world now. I used to love it. I used to just always, but now as things develop and things change over time, I despise Twilight Town. But it's just so good. Oh, and here we are.
Oh. More knowledge.
PR has final form. And home sweet home in STT.
Ninten is, he looked at those numbers and thought, statistically, it's STT. so he went for it. Just the sheer amount of points there's really hard to ignore, and I guess with limit form it's even harder to say why not.
So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 5s right now on Ninten tracker alone. A report coming up on. Okay, so the 5 on pages, the 5 on levels just got confirmed to be a page.
The scary thing is that we know that we might need torn pages at some point because there's a guaranteed 5 on drives. It's so spooky. That blizzard that Equations just picked up on drives means that 8 is a guaranteed 5, and that's, I believe, let me think. We know the location of that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. That's 5.
We know if right now, if we're looking at both trackers, we know we have 5 5s confirmed.
Yeah, and then there's 6 we know the location of. I believe is it 6? I believe it's 6 we know the theoretical location of.
It's 5.
Am I counting
theoretical?
This wrong?
I'm not sure, but for guaranteed locations, we know 5 of them.
So we know where the proof is. We know where chicken is. We know where 3 summons are, the proof, once more, and a torn page. And then we know that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's Space Paranoids, OC levels, dry forms, 100 acre that we know of that have 5s at the moment.
Yep.
And that leaves us with the remaining, I think, like 3 5s unaccounted for.
Yeah, 3. Okay, cool. My math was right there. Where's the 4th one coming from? They have 1, 2, 3. Between the 2 of them, I'm looking at both their trackers right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 5s between them because Ninten has the proof. And then there's 5 hinted, so that's 11.
Gummy Ship Mission music is so funny. Sorry.
It is pretty great.
You know, for STT being a 42, I'm surprised that nothing has popped up yet, and here we are on Twilight Thorn.
Finishing Leap. You don't count Finishing Leap as an important check?
Finishing Leap is a saving grace for a lot of really bad seeds that I've rolled. Like, when I'm having a really bad seed, I don't ask for many things. I'm like, can I just get like Finishing Leap maybe? Because that's just, it'll help a little.
It definitely does. Ninten also has a report. Ninten also has that report for drives, which is on drives, so we know what that report says. Report 12, Sora's Hardest Torn Pages. He's gonna probably level limit to 5, which is...
There could be a lot of forms here in SCT, or a couple forms.
It could be like 5, 6 magic.
Oh, well, no, actually... Sorry.
It could just be 6 magic.
Yeah, that would be it. That'd be crazy.
I doubt it, but it'd be ludicrous.
I was thinking there could be a lot of forms here, but I remember that final form is confirmed in PR now, so there's only 2 form locations. 2 of them could.
2 forms is still a lot. 2 forms is a lot of things. Combo Master and Combo Boost. You don't have a lot of Keyblades, Equations does, but they're good Keyblades.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I cannot really deduct a 42 that well. I can deduct things decently under 30. Anything past 30, I can't really. So
I mean,
42.
I just happen to know 6 times 7 is 42, so I thought that'd be the most interesting outcome in this situation. Equation's gonna push through corridors with that buffed final form from doing TT1.
Oh, dogs are firing outside.
Equation's it's got a bunch of interesting decisions to make, right? His only thing above a 20 that isn't STT is Hollow Bash. Everything else is below 20. Well, okay, Automath makes it below a 20, I suppose. But in general, he's just got a lot of information and not a lot of ways to like usefully use that information. He just knows the big point value. Oh. Right, 42 so is 3 14s, you're right. It's good knowledge.
Man, Hollow Bastion. It's a 24 right now. Um, so that could be a few things. Obviously, a 24 could be 2 forms, but I doubt it is with the amount of forms that we have already accounted for. I really don't think it is. Um,
There's a lot of reports unaccounted for, though. It could be 2 reports in 2 forms. With the knowledge we have right now, we really can't discount that.
24 has, I think, actually, if I'm being honest, I think 24 off the top of my head, I could think of a few variables that go into it.
Oh, no, definitely.
Just in general, I think 24 has the most, at least for me, the most amount of different variables that could go into it than any other number. 24 has so many things.
Quick update, Equations got the torn pages on levels. They were, I didn't see the exact level, but I assume they were level 14. Or roundabouts then.
All right, so finally, our first important check.
Blizzard. The 6 magic dream is alive and well.
Here we are, Thunder. No, 28. All
right, 6 so magic dream. Come on.
All right, so if we're looking at magic.
Oh, there's a 5 in Hollow Bastion. There's 2 left. Sorry, Equations finding torn pages in Hollow Bastion eliminates another one of the 3 we didn't know about, and that makes 2 5s we don't know about.
So if a 28 is gonna have more than a couple magics, it's gonna be a 9-7-7-5. So it would have to have a form, 2 magics, and a 5. If it was gonna, but that's 4.
It could also have a really disgusting combination of reports, which I think is unlikely knowing what we know about the 8s, but I think it's still possible theoretically.
Yeah, it would need to have 4 reports.
It'd be really gross, though, I think. Just any report combination would be very gross, I think, right now for STT. Well, 6 magic could be helpful, right? But you could just find 3 cures and mention. And I don't know if anyone would call that helpful.
Ro. Sorry, in chat. I figured so, because I was thinking about it, and I was like, 24 has the most amount of combinations out of any number I could think of. And I guess it has 8. Yeah, that's a lot, dude.
That is a lot. No, for sure. Equation's going to Beast Castle, and he's gonna pick up the good stuff that Ninten did. And I would not be surprised if they just followed, if Equations just followed Ninten straight into STT with a gauntlet. It's just so tempting. Oh, no, another magic!
Wow. So hold on, this is shaping up to look like that.
Halfway done with 6 magic, 3 more to go. Oh, it's a 14! The likelihood's also really high now that one... Hang on. There's a reasonable chance that Data Roxas has something. Oh, Data Roxas has a magic. Dude. No, wait. No. There's 3 checks. There's 3 checks. I'm overreacting.
It has to be. It's either a 9-5 or 2 more magics. It could be an unholy amount of reports, which would be a 5 and 3 reports. This 14 and SET.
No. There's only 3 checks left. No, Data Axel's bonus, chest, and Data Roxas.
You're right.
It's got to be either a 9-5 or a 7-7, and I don't think Ninten's brave enough to try to figure that out quite yet. Although I do think he should have just gotten that next check, because if there is a 5 there, you really want to know that now, rather than an hour deep into the scene, I think. But that's just might be my personal bias talking a little. All right. Ninten and Equations have swapped Twilight Towns. Equations is journey to STT, and Ninten has gone to regular Twilight Town.
Yeah, the question of is it a 7-7 or 9-5? That's a big one right now.
It's a very spooky question. There's 2 checks before Data Roxas, so it's definitely possible you'd get both. But knowing that if you'd have to go any further or not is a pretty big deal. Although, from Ninten's perspective, he's got enough. Actually, I'm a little surprised he's not pushing a guaranteed 5. But I suppose he just wants the final level to just brute force his way through some worlds. If I had to guess.
Like I mentioned earlier, right now things are lots. They're really scary, and I just want to quote Equations on what he said earlier. He said, "I also don't like making off the wall plays that get me uncomfortable."
Yeah.
Will we see something crazy right now? It's not something he wants to do. But this STT, as things, for him get deeper and deeper, we will see. Because with the amount of fives he has, and then the situation he's going to get put in at the end of this world, will he walk away, I suppose, is the question.
Safe play, though, is a pretty decent play for Equation. 2 fires and a thunder and a blizzard is all very strong magic to have with final form, at least. So just analyzing the specific magics they got, they're all very good like combat magics, and final fire up at the very least will just help cruise through the world it never was, or final fights the engine core fight. So it's at least not bad magic, right? You could have my prediction of 3 cures earlier was wrong, and luckily for them it was wrong, because 3 cures is really not the combat magic you want at any time. At most I'd want 1 cure maybe. As of right now, we're kind of up in the air what could have a 5, right? We know where 12 out of 14 5s are, but the last 2 5s are really potentially anywhere at this point, right? Like, there's no way we can guarantee what could be where. Too many potential combinations with forms and reports, I think. Ninten pushing the tower. Nothing incredibly interesting here. Equations has decided to leave to the GOA for some reason. What's he doing? 100 acre push.
Aww,
interesting.
Cute. Sora was matching with all the shadows.
The anti-form does look nice. But 100 acre push. Dipping the 42 STT for 100 acre push. It's a bold play.
It's guaranteed. It's a guaranteed something. So,
and not guaranteed quite yet. You don't have all the torn pages. He's not even at Spooky Cave quite yet.
Not guaranteed on the next page, but the world has a guaranteed something, I should say.
So let me count them out for you, right? So I will go off Equations tracker for a minute, right? So we can make this simple for a second. Equations has 3 torn pages, 3 summons, a proof, and 1 s'more. That's 8 5s right there. All right. Now, if you look at Equations tracker, Space Paranoids, Olympus Coliseum, 100 Acre, and Drives all have a number combination or the number 5 that guarantees a 5 in it. That's 4 5s. So 8 plus 4 is 12, and there are 14 5s. So therefore, we know where 12 out of 14 5s are right now. I hope that clears it up for you. So I'm going to clear up that math real quick. New stuff here. Shock Charm Plus in a seed where they have a Thunder is very helpful.
A very appropriate emote, CJ. No, realistically, in hindsight, it's being spoken, it just sounds like that's a lot of numbers. But I keep in mind, these settings everyone is familiar with. But when you're trying to watch 2 people at the same time and accommodate for both at the same time, it is quite a bit.
So, interesting point with that one of these worlds has 3 reports instead of a proof. The problem right now is that we just don't have the contextual knowledge to know which of these world random mid-tens world just has a 5 in general. Not even proof. We're not even going that far quite yet. We just don't know which one has a 5. And that's like very vital knowledge to have. And the faster someone finds that out, the bigger the advantage they'll have.
I actually really do like this 100 acre push though by Equations. I do think it's on the riskier side, which is funny, or coming from literally what I had just spoken about a couple minutes ago, Equations saying I don't want to make any off the wall decisions or anything that make me uncomfortable. I definitely feel like 100 acre for any player in general, especially this at this stage in the run, because we're at like the 40-minute mark, and I think for any run, not just this one, I feel like the 40-minute mark around this time is really where the most important decisions are made and are the decisions that make or break a run. And the pay that's 5.
What?
I'm not sure why. Maybe it was instinctual. Maybe.
I definitely think it was instinctual. He looked like he wanted to quit.
Yeah.
He looked like he was just like, wait, what am I doing?
I'm sure you could pause and quit here, though. But
I think it puts you back at 100 Acre, and this. Well, now that he's failing the minigame, it's not as fast. But I was gonna say, doing the minigame is basically as fast as just leaving because of how fast this minigame is. If you do it optimally, comparing travel time and minigame time. Because this just dumps you outside of 100 Acre immediately. Equations is just like, what? What is going on? And I fully agree. I don't know if Equations has mathed out that STT has to have 4 magic, but like just looking at the amount of magic you have left and the numbers you've got going on, it stands to reason that if STT doesn't have a boatload of magic, you're just going to be very confused because there's nowhere else it could be.
Ninten just found a Thunder at the end of TT2. So that makes Twilight Town an 8.
That's another 5. Is that every 5? Do we know where every 5 is? Hang on. TT... No, sorry. We're missing 1 5 now, I think.
Holy. Equations pushing hard 5s right now.
Yeah, no. Okay, we're missing 1 5. We know where 13 5s are now because of that Ninten push in DT.
So Equations is on the hunt for the 5s right now. Super hard.
It makes sense. In a seed where you know so much information about the 5s, STT having a 5 would just be kind of astronomical right now. Or at least enough. Having the guaranteed 5 is just my brain's kind of melting. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I have both audio on for both players, and Nintendo was just kind of quiet for a second, and then he just said, "This isn't a good seed." Just made me laugh.
Too much math. Yeah, the thing about this seed is that even with Ninten dipping STT is kind of giving him a lot of magic, which is surprisingly relevant, I think, in the grand scheme of things. Because Equations is not going to have a Firaga or a Blizzara or a Thundara. He's just going to have base versions of all of them, which can make a difference in some situations.
I mean, as far as just straight utility goes, the players got what they need.
Yeah, that's fair. They have a reflect. That was not reflect.
This is definitely rando be rando, and it's definitely showing up today.
Equations since he didn't push STT, he's trying to level up his limit form a bit, and in Cerberus, I respect it. Ninten getting an EXP boost off in the mansion fight. This is a really good EXP boost. Lots of easy nobodies that you can just chew through with that really good level, with that high level fire.
So puts him at level 25. Chance. There was the 5 there. All right. Well, honestly, as looking from the outside in, and everyone should have their own opinion, but I think Ninten, in a weird way, is not at disadvantage, but could very easily make one wrong decision, which you could always do in rando, and it kills.
So, but by just leaving STT, right? To go off what you're saying, Equations has made a good decision, I think, in the long run. That will save him a lot.
Equations has been chasing 5s. That's the thing. Yeah. Ninten really hasn't been chasing 5s. So Equations has a checklist already, and they're going down it. Ninten is just now going to start doing that. So
this is the analytical play we were talking about for Equations, right? Like where he just swept through his group stage because he just has such a good idea of how to play with his hint system. It's really powerful for him. Second chance, though, is a really good thing to have, though. With Ninten's defense and HP is pretty high, but
level grinding and trying to find out what's on final.
I mean, knowing this drive check early would save you a ton of time just by not having to do drives if it's on final. My guess he wants to do a world that never was, but if I had to pick a world I'd gamble on for having a 5, it'd be the world that never was, solely because, I have to do it at some point. So preparing for that early, I guess, makes sense. Yeah, he agrees with me on that one, I guess.
I wasn't quite sure that personally from as a spectator, and there was a proof.
It's in OC.
So I wasn't quite sure when I was watching Equations how I felt personally about the decision of pushing 5 super hard, because Equation has been pushing 5s for about 10 minutes now. Ninten has kind of just been like getting more clearage as far as other worlds concerned. Equations just started committing. And it was kind of like it can bite you in the ass or pay really hard. Bite you in the ass is in it's not in that 1-5 that you just pushed so deep into World 4 while the other person, did more clearage stuff and it paid. But here we are now, 10 minutes later, the proof of existence made an appearance for Equations and has also cleared out a couple 5s. Also, the bigger worlds not really paying an intense favor. So at this point, even before the proof was found, I had already been thinking Equations is at a slight advantage here just because of that alone. Only because the bigger number worlds have not been paying.
It's like Ninten is higher level by 10 level? 15 level. That's a lot of levels, to be fair. But it's like, those levels don't mean much when Equations could just also probably hit up SP and grind his way to something decent. He has Stitch, he has decent, he has usable ways to get him to at least level 25 or so, which is good enough to get him through endgame, which is all he needs to do if he finds the proofs early. He's not looking to push a data or anything ridiculous.
So it's really scary right now, right? So let's just pretend, hypothetically, and I won't make you guys daydream about it for too long, but just even if there is a proof here for Ninten, in Space Paranoids that is, there's still just an uncountable amount of coin flips and 5s that he could chase. So it would need to be OC. That'd be the one that he has to focus.
The problem is that we highlighted at the beginning of the season, OC is just long as a world. You're risking a lot. And now that we know now is the correct risk. But we also have to think from Ninten's perspective that, that's bad. That's not a good 5.
It's getting a little scary now. Just a little bit. I could see there's a crack in the ceiling and a little bit of sunlight glistening through on Equation's side.
The thing is that the only 5 that now that we have no knowledge about is the one in drives, and then the other 5 is just one of these many worlds that just has a handful of points above 5. And it's none of them look appealing enough for me to go, yeah, that world right there, that's what I'd push. I said the world that never was solely because of the fact that you have to do it anyway, but other than that, there's really no incredible differentiator, no catch-all solution to go, yeah, that's the play.
Well, I mean, you also have to keep in mind in a seed like this where almost all of the 5s, literally except for 1, are accounted for, the world never was can just naturally become a little bit less appealing.
True, but on the flip side, just having the nature of the fact that you're going to go there at some point or another in the seed also can make it more appealing to you in that sense. While I do the required due diligence for my seed by just finishing the world that never was, why don't I go check it
from Ninten, by the way? Sorry.
Oh, super clean. This is the guard break loot? No, finishing loot. Well, it was clean.
But it was not simple, and that's why we are getting a DM.
Now you said it backwards. It's fine. Yeah, that's a bit perplexing on my responding to chat. It's a bit perplexing why Ninten didn't choose to do Axel 2. The power of knowing if you have to go back or not is, or the time save you might get is, I think, not worth the knowledge. Sorry.
Man, it's so admirable, to me at least. So I've played this game before, right? But my knowledge on the Roxas fight is So I've practiced it a bit, but there's just so many strats that every time I watch someone do it, there's like they always show me something new, and I don't know. I feel like Rocks is the most undiscovered, and like so many different ways to do the fight out of everything in this game as far as like speedrunning randomizer goes. So I just love watching it be done normally.
When the randomizer came out, Xigbar was the fight that I think most people focused their time and efforts on, because that was the fight most people struggled with, right? Like everyone needed a Xigbar strat, and this is a Xigbar strat I came up with for these tools, and this is how you can mitigate your issues with this Xigbar strat. But as people have gotten better and better at the randomizer, and people kind of internalized all these strats for Xigbar, I think this gives people time and effort, right, to focus on the other World That Never Was fights, which can be just as difficult in their own ways to do fast or like do efficiently or do with low tools. And I think we're starting to see the culmination of all that effort that was put towards Xigbar kind of being put in a new direction. Still no checks in the World That Never Was before Xigbar.
Ninten is staying. Just gonna check if there is any useful limits in the store.
Whirly Goof.
Goaded. Oh, experience boost, nice. Oh, we've already seen that though. Actually, hold up.
Yeah, Ninten was using it in the Dusk fight Mansion fight. It's good to have though. Makes Equations Trek Up the World That Never Was a lot more appealing, I believe. Because he can just EXP boost on his way up and be a happy person.
And this roller coaster of Recede, what feels like we've been watching for a little while, has only been going on for going load list 40 minutes.
Something to note is that Equations load list is about a minute and 10 seconds ahead of Ninten's. It's quite a bit. I'd assume due to the STT because the loads in there are just massive, but it's something to keep track of. So Ninten's probably going to go with... He has a lot of strats he can go for, so I don't think I'll be able to predict accurately what he goes for. But judging by the fact that he's below the strength 4, my guess he's going to trap him in a room and try to action count loop him. Though, in simple terms for people who may not know that, or you might just Berserk charge him. Horizontal Berserk... Horizontal... Oh my god, an ad. Equations not EXP boosting the Mansion fight, but still getting good experience out of it. Yeah, no, I agree. I thought Ninten might go for the action loop, but Berserk Hori is just incredibly powerful by itself. And it seems like that's all Ninten needed. Maybe a dry form usage or two, but good fight from Ninten. I didn't see most of it because of an ad, but good fight. Still no checks. Best case scenario for Ninten is that he finds a magic, which guarantees a 5 in the World That Never Was. And a magic gives him the combat strength potentially to make it faster. Worst case scenario for Ninten is that he finds a form, because then it's no longer a guaranteed... Well, not worst case, but... What could the World That Never Was be if it doesn't have a 5 in it? Could be 2 reports in a form. It could be 5 reports. I somehow doubt that. Whatever the World That Never Was ends up being, if it's not a 5, is gonna be interesting, I think.
It's a little hard for me to deduct from Ninten's tracker because he doesn't have the actual like available important checks to get. It's just the actual ones that he's gotten. So I don't know.
I'm just trying to think of the possible combinations that make up 15 that we can possibly have, and it's not. It's not.
Is most likely going to be this. If I'm being honest, it's either gonna be a 9 and 3 and 2 reports or a 7-5-3.
Yeah, 9 and 2 reports is what I'm leaning towards. Just I think the odds just go towards that direction, but I don't know. It's interesting. So Ninten just wants to find a magical reform as soon as possible, I guess, confirming his whatever biases about the world he might have. If he finds a magic, he knows it's good to push, and if he finds a form, he knows it's bad to push.
Well, yeah, if Ninten somehow finds a magic here, then that's just amazing.
That's every single 5 accounted for.
Yeah.
Equations is going for a quick run strat on Roxas. Makes sense. They're going for they have 2 proofs. They want consistency over speed.
Hell no, there cannot.
Doubled HP up from Luxord? Ah, so that's what happened. I mean, Data Xemnas is still an option, whatever it ends up being there. We have to remember that data organization is on for the team, and a lot of the worlds that we haven't explored yet have the potential of having a data have report check. Hollow Bastion, STT, Agrabah, The World That Never Was, Port Royal, all of them have datas, and of all of them, I think only Agrabah is the data I venture to say that people find easy on a good day. Every other data can definitely mess you up very badly on a bad day, and even data like Sayas can sometimes just trip you up if you're not careful. 933. Now that there's 3 worlds with the report, so that leaves 5 reports left. So I don't think it's gonna be 5 reports, but I think 933 is perfectly plausible as an end result. Ninja just wants an important check, I think. Just to oh, well, I guess he's gonna get an important check. He's not guaranteed to get one. They might all be past Xemnas, which would be remarkably troll for the seed. Oh, that tells us nothing. Report.
It has
I can't read that.
It's a 7-5.
It could be a 9-3. We don't have quite enough reports that gone out of the pool yet. We'll find out, I guess, at the end of the Xemnas fight. Or before that, even. That report says information we already know. 100 Acre has a Peter Pan. They found that really early on. No big deal. Don't Ninten just got him.
It's
a 5! It's the last 5! Oh, we know where every 5 is. Well, we the omnipotent observers know where every 5 is, but I believe both equations... No, hang on. Equations doesn't know about the world that never was one yet.
So keep this in mind. Oh, well, first off, blatantly, I think if the proof is here, Equations is looking really, really, really good. Second,
really good.
If the proof is here, that is a bigger problem for Ninten, because let's just pretend, Ninten now has 2 proofs, and it's the proof Equations doesn't have. It doesn't matter, because Ninten now, when he leaves this little, the world he's in, there are so many other 5s and so many other options that you're going to have to hopefully choose correct on, and OC is the one that we know that it is.
He's also got the point. There's something to think about in that he's got... What are his other 5s? He's got a few torn pages, so 100 Acres looking... He might just push Rabbit's house. He can do that. He might just level drives. He might just go to...
See, it was a page.
Oh. Well, this throws his seat back wide open. It wasn't on Data Xemnas, at least, so we're not going to have to suffer through that anxiety for a bit. Ninten is now just going to beeline straight for 100 Acre. Makes sense. He doesn't know it yet, but he has enough pages to figure out the truth about 100 Acre. Good point. It could be a level 7 form, and a form hunt is in order. because nobody knows where Wisdom or Master is at all. There's lots of places that could end up being. Lots of places. That LOD9 gets scarier and scarier the longer we're missing but 2 forms, I believe. Because a guaranteed 5 is 1 number, right? Like, you don't mind pushing that too badly. A guaranteed 9 or a guaranteed form is really something. When you push that, you know that things have gone kind of very, very pear-shaped very fast. Equation's doing, well, I believe he was going for the action loop. Let's see if he gets it here. So the action loop is basically you get Zigbar into a room transition, you knock his health below the health gate where he starts DMing, and you knock him out of a room and then stagger him while he's being knocked out of the room immediately after, and he'll always do a very consistent set of attacks that you can easily avoid and then retaliate.
So, dry form's big of 5 is a little scary, right? It's probably the most scary of 5s. I think every 5 right now holds, a lot of value. A lot of coin flip. But dry forms is dry forms. You gotta love to hate it. And you can kind of pinpoint right now where the dry forms are as well. And it's something that you have to, it's dreadful to when you're trying to map in 5s, also have to worry about drives and also account for the 9s. And right now we only have one of them, LOD. And we know that PR is also pretty form heavy as well. How you can, try to prioritize drives into your search for the 5s is something that honestly, personally, me as a player, is still super hard to wrap my head around.
LOD being a bait is something that's pretty spooky in the sense that if it's a bait and it has just 3 reports instead of drive, that makes the reports interesting. And I'm not going to pretend like I know the math, but I'm just like eyeballing it and saying that would be a very spooky outcome if LOD has 3 reports. Because that puts forms in other places that could be potentially even more coin flippy than just LOD right now. So one thing to note is that once you know where every 5 is, you can actually start guesswork, where you can mathematically rule out, I'm taking this from chat by the way, so full credit there, but you can mathematically rule out 14s as a place where a 9 can be, because that requires a 5 to counterpoint the 9. So 9 plus 5 is no longer a possible combination. So for example, that means that Agrabah, because it can't have a 5, can no longer have a 9 to go with it, and therefore it must have 2 magics as a make. Same idea for... we actually now know that Ninten...
No!
Oh, what happened? Oh, did he crash? Oh, that is gross and unfortunate. That was a really weird crash. Ninten just crashed in OC walking towards Burns. People who might have missed it. I believe he's trying to get himself back now, so hopefully he's up and running relatively soon. Alright, game's back and running. Let's hope the autosave lower does its job, though. Equations soldiering on through the world never was. Hindsight is 2020, by the way, and we now know that Ninten made the correct play that STT was a bait, because there's no 5s there. I don't quite. I don't know if Ninten had that information at the time, but now we know that was the right decision, at least. And he's through. Good stuff, Ninten. So the legendary 6 magic bait STT is a thing.
I will say one thing. I think the grass has gotten a bit greener on Ninten's side because, like I said before, even if a proof was to pop up in a world that Ninten was in, he would still need to coin flip and find the one in OC. But here we are now. We find ourselves in OC. The urns getting broken.
Oh, yeah.
Going to find the proof here. I assume there'd be no reason to leave before finding it. You're here for a reason, and it's for the 5. You're going to walk out with a smile as well. Either way, so it's going to be 2 proofs here on both ends in a couple minutes now. The decision after that, very interesting.
Something to know.
Equations going to find himself spending a bit of time here, though it never was. Whatever he does after that, up to them.
Something to know. No, I just wanted to point out that Ninten doesn't have the perfect knowledge that Equations will have when he's done with the world that never was. Because, wait, it has to be on drives. Wait, I just noticed. Wait a minute. Because look. Equations about to get this torn page, right? And that proof had to be on drives. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. I just never realized. If you look at Equations tracker, he's only got 2 5s left. And Ninten doesn't have the torn page in Hollow Bastion, so Ninten's seat is still wide open. He's got a 5 missing. That's actually like potentially a huge difference in the grand scheme of things.
It just goes back to saying how scary dry forms are, and PR could.
Nah, they got final. That can't be that bad.
Hey, dude, dry forms are dry forms.
No, 100%. We know. Okay, Equations with perfect knowledge, right? Knows it's not an admiral.
Well, no, because PR has two drives. I think.
No, one drive. It's a 16, not an 18.
Well, no, it could have 2 drives.
No. So final makes it 16, and then we put it to 16, right? And then it's a 9-7.
Yeah, so that's 2 drives. Well, final.
Wait, you're confusing me.
No. Okay, I'm counting 2. They have final, but I'm just saying PR in general has 2 drives.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was not counting final. All right,
yeah.
But you're right. But no, I was thinking that Hollow Bastion and PR just look. If Equations could avoid the STT bait and just rush the Hollow Bastion PR LOD. This was brought up in chat earlier, but I wasn't paying too much attention to it. But now I'm rereading it, and I agree. It's one of Hollow Bastion PR LOD that has the 2 drives we're missing. Or between the 3 of those worlds, they have 2 drives. Yeah, now Equations has perfect knowledge that the only 5 left in the seed is the proof. And the only 5 he needs to figure out the location is the drives. It is a drives proof. And this could be...
Start taking your bets. What form do you all think it's going to be on?
This is a Monty Hall problem with drives and reports. That's a way to phrase it. I'd like to also point out, sorry, real quick, they don't have a single magnet. Nobody has a magnet anywhere. This might be a magnetless seed, just by where they go.
I'm going to be honest. With as little self-support behind it, I hate dry forms, and I think dry forms should not. I think that they should be.
LOD's the 3 report world? Oh my god.
That's insane.
That's such good knowledge.
Dude, so that means... Oh my god.
You just rush PR. Or Hollow Bastion, I guess. That also works. I think PR is more linear. Which is why
STT is a 9-5?
No, 7-7. There's no 5s left, remember? It has to be 7-7.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So the dry forms are...
Has to be LOD.
PR. Sorry, I was yawning.
Sorry,
PR.
not LOD. HB and PR. There's no other world that can have it because Algebra the 14 can't have it because we know there's no more 5s left.
Oh my gosh, dude, I'm trying to keep kind of. I'm like 2 trackers. It's just so.
I'm just using Equations Tracker. It has enough information.
Okay, yeah, I gotta only look at Equations because he's the one that knows everything. You're right.
Yeah. Ninten's about to get this torn page, I think, and he's going to know everything immediately after this. And then it's a race.
Dang, so it's just giant 50-50 cool. Here.
Magnet could also be in PR. That's very true. There's enough magic left where that Magnet in PR might be very helpful. Where a Magnet in PR might be a very real possibility.
Oh boy. If it's
he
here.
Can.
Okay. So Ninten wanted to leave. Ninten now knows that it's on forms, but also knows there's a form here, so he's gonna stay.
Yep. That going to Hollow Bastion immediately after instead of say Agrabah just saved Ninten so much time.
Wow. Honestly, I've really thought Equations had the upper hand for so long, but now I'm only seeing about a 30-second, 40-second difference here at this point.
Wait, did Ninten not get the torn page? Where was that? What? Does he just not have a torn page from something? That's very. Oh, his auto tracker is. Pride Lance has torn pages. That's the report. That doesn't matter.
Pages get scuffed when you crash.
Yeah, okay, I realize that now. The other EXP boost. Oh boy! Now he knows by logic of the fact that there's 3 reports in worlds that are not done yet for Equations. He knows that this has to be a form. So like even if he had doubts about STT, now he can rule them out completely and go, oh, form and form, right there.
This is so scary. This is the most coin flip I've seen in so long. Not only was there so many 5s, now we got dry forms.
So I want to point out how the 2 different playstyles have culminated at this point, right? Ninten, you said the speed cleared, the efficiency man. He has cleared more of the seed than Equations, but Equations is so good at just playing around these hints and getting. He used his knowledge to, I guess, correctly rule out STT. And has, in that sense, saved time over Ninten. Just enough time that it's actually competitive. And it's really interesting to see how these 2 playstyles, so different, have just kind of converged at this final point. They've both done Zumris at this point, yes.
This is the most up-in-the-air seed that I've seen in a very long time.
Yep.
100%. Especially when the last proof is coming down to dry forms. It is truly about as rando can get here. Obviously, everything up until this point has their decision.
I don't think either of them have auto. None of them have auto wisdom or auto master, right? And I just missed it, or they're missing it.
I'm sure one of them would have leveled an auto form if they had it.
Yeah, definitely. It's too risky not to at this point.
I love this though. So they're both just getting the forms before committing to leveling any of them. Well, actually, they're missing Wisdom and Master. At least,
yeah.
So right now, only forms can get to 5.
I'd have done PR before HP solely because both of those forms are really easy to level in Hollow Bastion. Like the ease you can level both Master and Wisdom and Hollow Bastion cannot be understated. Like Master is just a quick jaunt into core for 4 or 5 levels, and Wisdom can be just leveled basically all the way on Final Fantasy fights if you have one drive converter or 2.
This race is only This race is literally only Ninten is only behind by the Demix fight here. They both have the same knowledge. They both know what needs to be done. They're both doing the same thing. Ninten's only behind on Demix. It's really going to come into who decides which form to level correctly, I think, when they find the forms.
Something to note is that PR and Hollow Bastion both have the chance that there's still the chance they could just find the auto form, and that could just turn the race really, really wildly. if somebody knows how to autoform level really well. Also, no magnets. Just look at it. Look how bad it is. 0 magnets for any crowd control. They're reliant on their thunders and their blizzards, I guess. And Ninten might have a slight advantage because he's got Thundaga, which is really, really good in this situation. Equations does have Magnet Burst, which is still really good on its own right, but just something to think about. Yeah, Ninten didn't do the bounce minigame, I think. He just bounced. Sorry. Couldn't resist. Look at Ninten leveling drives here, too. Oh, never mind. Unfortunate. These shadows are like just such time wasters when you don't have like a giant magnet to just scoop them up. Equations is doing his best with Magnet Burst, but it really is not the same. There's no understanding how amazing Magnet is in this sort of fights. Magnetless 1k. You do at least have limit, so the odds of them dying, I think, are very slim. But it's not great odds anyway.
Alrighty. Crystal Fissure we go on Equations side. Master Form, there it is.
Oh, and they can't go to core without beating 1k.
Yeah.
Oh, right. That's tortuously bad, actually. Where are they?
Drive
I guess they have TT.
Hopefully.
TT. Right. Good play to me. If Ninten skipped 2 magnets at the end of STT, I'd laugh myself sick. That'd be actually amazing.
Also, as far as we're just going back to the point of clearage goes, Ninten was a lot more behind earlier than he is now. Right now, they are both just barely entering Twilight Town. The difference in time has definitely shortened. Okay.
Yeah, right now, you're not even concerned. Yeah, you're not even concerned what's on the check. You're just gonna see it on the tracker the second you get to say go. Oh, this is so spooky. Auto Wisdom's on Master.
Isn't that actually fucking hilarious?
Oh, good lord. Now you have to think even harder. Do you level my other drives or do I auto it? And where do I auto it in that case? There's no good spot. Equation is just trying to think. Like,
this is so scary.
What do you do? Ninten's face is amazing.
What are the stats right now? We got 30 strength, 48 magic on Ninten's side, and then we got where's Equation stats? Oh, 32-42 on Equation side.
They both just immediately had the same thought. Auto Wisdom, this nonsense right now.
You have to.
You could gamble very hard, but I don't think it's worth the gamble. I'm not saying that. I agree with both their plays. I'm just pointing it out. There is always the possibility you could just gamble very. Oh my god, Donald had a potion. Oh. They have potions because Equations was trying to be responsible. No, that's losing him time. So gross. So gross. That's costing him really badly right now, honestly. Even if Wisdom doesn't have it, you have to make an even bigger judgment call. Do you go to PR and go for the Wisdom form or 7s?
Oh, it was Wisdom 5.
Oh.
This is okay. So, like I said a couple minutes just ago, the stats. That's what I wanted to focus on, because the stats here are huge.
I wanted to focus mainly on the loadless time. Ninten's got 2 minutes on Equations loadless.
That is
huge difference.
Crazy. 2 minutes.
Yeah, Ninten would have to mess up somewhere, but with second chance, once more, a magic stat and enough reflex to just melt through everything like a knife through butter, it's not looking great for Equations. He has to rely on Ninten messing up more than his amazing execution, which is an unfortunate situation to find yourself in, but this is still definitely a close enough race that we can't call it quite yet. Dome skip is basically 2 minutes, Like, I have faith in Ninten to get dome skip, but that alone could turn the fate of this race.
Ninten did crash.
He did, but his load list didn't pause, so he just got his timer was still running while he was launching. Makes no difference in the end. Just reading chat. The crazy thing is that all of that stuff done, and they're probably going to be done with sub 1 hour 30. Goes to show how intense these seeds can be, even if they limit some of your options. Also, no magnets still. Amazing. Alright, so both of them are basically just using Chicken Little, and Ninten is just already done with Engine Core. It is a testament to how efficient of a player Ninten is that he doesn't have Magnet, and he still found a way to just blitz through Engine Core. Chicken Little is a really good strat that, combined with his powerful magic, that STT trip took a lot of his time, but it does give him some really powerful thunders to play around with instead. Yeah, I did point out, I don't know, about 40 minutes ago, when Ninten did go into STT, that STT probably caused this minute and a bit difference that at the time. And after Ninten's crash, after Ninten's crash and a bunch of other factors, now it's about 2 minutes ahead, which is even bigger of a gap. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I think Ninten is strongly favored to win from this position, but we have to just wait and see if Ninten potentially messes up anywhere. Equations is definitely giving it his best effort. He just got knocked by an assassin, so that's kind of unfortunate time for me to say that, but he is definitely not too shabby. He's using some good strats. Chicken Little plus some sort of magnet is just incredibly good. But not having that Thundaga makes a huge difference. Look how many magnet bursts it takes to kill just one assassin. And that assassin can fall out of the magnet burst. Physics can be kind of funky. It's just... that STT also made a difference. Smart from Equations. That Ether to just evaporate the door's health. If you didn't know that Final Form, you saw Equations maybe use it earlier in the run, didn't draw attention to it because we were more focused on what would happen routing wise, but Final Form you can glide or use items, and the Keyblades swinging do ridiculous amounts of damage. Even at level 1, it's enough to just do things that are basically impossible otherwise on level 1. Ninten on final, Equations on just starting Armored 2.
Yeah, so I mean, it's pretty safe to say the winner of this race, right? But I will say...
Ninten is not the type of person to throw this. I will say that there is a chance he'd throw it, but I'm going to also say he's not the type of person to throw this.
I do not think that there's a chance that Ninten is throwing over 4 or 5 minutes on final. Because Equation still has to deal with all of Armored Xemnas too. And then
Good point. To the guy in chat that Ninten got to EXP boost on screens instead of after. Or he had an EXP boost before screens instead of after, like he did. And GG's to Ninten. He used it in Mansion Fight too. Yeah, you're right. What an incredible race. Despite the winner and loser of this race, like I think both players have played phenomenally, and they showed why both of them are like top contenders for people who might be the end-all be-all winner of this tournament. Ninten won with incredible execution and just blitzing through the race at speeds that it's really hard for other people to match. But Equations kept it so competitive with his just impeccable routing sense. He deduced that STT was a waste at a point where it was relevant enough to keep him very competitive at the entire race. So it's just a testament to how skilled Equations is and how good he is at this routing. And his execution is, some people might say that just knowing how to coin flip might be the skill, but you have to have the skills to keep up with your routing or try to coin flip. And Equations has definitely proved he can at least do his best to keep it competitive in both senses. I definitely think that I'd like to ask Equations after this race, if he's willing, how he managed to rule out STT so confidently. Did he just assume it was a bait and realize? Did he just have some incredible calculation and knowledge? Did he just go, oh, 6 magic makes perfect sense as an STT play? I'd love to know what he did there. I'd also like to ask, maybe both racers, why they chose Hollow Bastion over PR. Probably because they both already pushed Hollow Bastion, but be a good question to ask. Equation said he can't speak, but he'll be in chat to type if he wants. All right, that's good to know.
The only question that I had for Equations was, at what point did they decide to push 5 super hard?
I think it's always been Equations' theme, right? Well, not theme, but he's always been very good at just figuring out where 5s were because he pushed them so early. He kind of uses a cascading effect, where it's like he pushes the 5s and that leads to him learning about 5s, I think, just in the process. That's my understanding of how it's worked so far. Maybe Equations has more insight that we definitely don't know about, but I definitely think it just works out very well that if you push 5s and then just kind of choose good choices, you just tend to know things earlier. But definitely one of the highlights of the tournament, this race.
Hello.
Hello.
Congratulations. Good stuff.
Thank you.
That STT was amazing, wasn't
it? Yeah, I cannot believe it was 6 magics. That's crazy, dude.
All right. So some thoughts and questions we had about your seed were, first off, what made you choose Hollow Bastion as the world you try to find a form in instead of Port Royal?
Because Hollow Bastion was a 24, I think. Mm-hmm. And when I did the math, if it had a form... So I thought LOD would have 3 reports because it's a big world and I only shotgunned it. And I thought it was more likely to have 3 reports than PR because PR has final form and also a 7.
It did.
So having... Yeah. Oh, it did? It had 3 reports?
Yeah, it did.
Oh, shit. Okay, so well, my reasoning was that it probably has a form and final. And then LOD probably has 3 reports. And then Hollow Bastion, I figured would have a form because it can't have 3. Because 24 would be a 9-7-5-3, I think. And
yes, you're right.
Yeah, and so Hollow Bastion having 3 reports would be insane because of how many checks are already there. So I was like, there has to be a form here, and that was my reasoning.
That's fair. Equations. Similar question to you. What made you choose Hollow Bastion in the end over Royal? If I recall correctly, you had a torn page over Ninten when you had to make the decision. So I know your point difference was closer than Ninten's 24.
Where's equations typing?
Honestly, no idea. Twitch chat.
Oh, okay.
Nah. Honestly, no idea. That's fair. What did I do? What did I do? Why are you laughing at me? Any nine is interchangeable with any other? That's fair. That's fair. All right. What I had this question specifically for equations. I I don't know when you figured it out, but if you did, when did you figure out that STT was a bait? Because we were all very impressed with the fact that you somehow deduced or maybe guessed that STT was just a giant bait sitting in the corner. And it was like we were all just incredibly amazed when we found that out. So how many fives were left versus how many fives were still left? Yeah, that we were talking about that. I think the entire race. So basically, math. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think equations was pushing fives a lot earlier than Ninten was.
Yeah.
I think just based off of the clearage, Ninten, I think that you were doing very, very well, and that kind of kept you afloat on the side of like um, equations pushing fives and then it paying out or not paying out kind of thing. Because equations did have two proofs before you for a quite a significant amount of time as far as rando goes. Obviously, as far as rando goes, that's literally like 5 minutes, and that's huge, you know. So as far as rando goes, he definitely he did have two proofs over you, but that was because the fives they were pushing was super super hard and super early on. So that was something that I was also curious about from equation side. Um, but you made the right call coming out of the world that never was, which was OC, and it definitely paid. And then dry forms kind of, you know, birthed themselves.
Yeah. I think by the time I went to OC, I knew it had to be like it had to have one proof, I think. I'm not sure though.
Seed stuff is plugged in on trackers. All right. So wisdom for double magnet in Agrabah and a magnet and reflect in STT.
Oh, was it magnet reflex in SVG?
Yeah. Magnet burst in OC was the reasoning for that play? Gotcha. Oh, how did you both feel about the lack of magnets this seed? That was actually pretty unusual.
It was terrible. Yeah, it was weird. I was thought for sure it would be an SVT, like the Axel fight.
One of my favorite moments in this entire seed, because I have audio on, it made me laugh. Like actually, was you were quiet for a few seconds, and Ninten, you were quiet for a few seconds, and you're like, "This seed is bad." I don't know why it just made me laugh so hard, because it is obviously, but it's just funny to hear it from the runners. Either way, good stuff to both of you.
Magnet is Data Roxas. Whew. That's
okay.
Nobody was getting that.
Yeah.
So are you surprised? Are you happy? How do you feel? Moving on, even further so in the winners bracket, Ninten.
I am really happy actually, because the longer that I avoid losers bracket, the better it is for me. So I think I'm pretty glad where I am right now.
And it is definitely well earned. I think this top 16 has been super, super tough for everybody. So to be in the position that you are, to no surprise, I might add, definitely admirable. And I wish you nothing but the best of luck. And I had a lot of fun watching you play tonight. I wish you nothing but the best of luck in the rest of your bracket run.
Thank you. Also, wait, where was Wisdom Form?
We know it's in Port Royal, but we do not have the specific knowledge yet. So.
Oh wait, no. Then Port Royal didn't. Okay, so LOD did have 3 reports. I was right about that, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, LOD was bait. LOD had 3 reports.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. So I was. Yeah, I mapped out. I'm pretty happy. I guessed where everything was.
Sea Drift Row, so PR2 was Wisdom Form.
Okay.
LOD was indeed bait.
Any words you'd want to say to the person who rolled the seed? I actually don't know who rolled, but anything you'd like to say to them?
Or any words in general.
In general.
To the people. To the people.
To the people.
Let us know.
This has been really fun. I like these, hints a lot. League is awesome so far.
was a fun seed. Good to know, Equations. Good to know. Yeah, this was. I don't know if you'll ever watch the VOD, but me and Chico had a blast commentating this. It was super fun trying to figure out your guys' math put together to figure out where things ended up being. And the 6 Magic SCT was something amazing to call. So this was an incredible experience to watch for both of you.
SCT was huge, man.
Yeah. I did say that at the beginning of STT that what if it was 6 Magic? And then Ninten kept getting Magic and Magic and Magic and Magic, and it was an experience. And that Thunder really helped you out in final fights, actually. Like just watching
it
some
did,
of those two
yeah.
fires.
It definitely did.
So it wasn't even like all that bad. So it was just a really fascinating race to watch from both of you. And Equations, you had such good like routing knowledge, and it was like really impressive. Like we were having trouble keeping up with routing with 2 trackers, and you were just doing it with your own knowledge.
I will say,
so
like
it was super impressive.
Equations definitely did have Equations had the final knowledge before Ninten did, the knowing where every 5 was. So that was really insane to see. But just the raw, insane clearage that is brought to the table and execution that Ninten has, just straight shot up and just carried everything to an equal platform. It was insane.
It was. All right. Any final thoughts from either of the racers that they want to share?
I think I've said I wanted to say.
Equations?
Thank you for the commentator, by the way.
No. Happy to help.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure to commentate a race that was, you both did amazing, and it was such a good time to commentate it. So good luck to Ninten moving on. Good stuff, Equations. And good luck to you as well. Loser's bracket is incredibly tough, but I have faith you'll do well, man. So good luck to you there.
Good night, everybody. Everyone take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Have a good rest of your week. Much love.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you. Good night.